the alarm bells were going off, but because I'm a woman and I was told like, oh, you're just a little anxious. Like it just never even came up that could be ADHD.
Yeah. There are some things that come with that brain, and I've got to remind you, and everyone who has it, those things make you the person that you are, and it's a great person.
If somebody is going to be diagnosed with ADHD, you need to have them call Penn Holderness because he is going to hype you up.
The thing that you said to me that I'll never forget was, we can't both have this.
Yeah.
I remember saying back, yes, we can.
Yeah, we get older every day. Got more wrinkles, that's okay. Yeah, we're laughing when we age. Life is like a comedy stage. And that's why we got laugh lines.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kim Holderness.
And I'm Penn Holderness. And boy, did you pick a good laugh lines to click on. We're so glad you're here. So, if you've ever had someone in your family get diagnosed with ADHD and thought, that sounds like it might be me. No, maybe? No, you're in the right place.
Yeah. So we're going to kick off a 2-part episode this week, just Penn and I yapping, uncovering some things. Next week, we're going to have an expert talking about the emotional side of ADHD. I don't know why I'm so emotional.
I do. And I think it's okay. Like so I'm going to lay out here for a bit because this is very important to hear from you here.
Yeah.
And this is a journey that seems like it hasn't been taking too long, but it's been a pretty long journey.
So I'm an adult woman. I'm about to turn 50. And late last year, I love my therapy. And I've been diagnosed with anxiety and OCD like many times throughout my life. Any new therapist, any new psychiatrist, like that's what we come up with. I went to see a new therapist and we were, walking through the whole screenings and all this stuff. And she's like, hey, so like your ADHD. And I was like, no, I don't have ADHD. And she's like, well, let's see about that. So I did rounds of screening. Like it's pretty intense, the rounds of screening and all the tests and all the thing. And I have been diagnosed with ADHD. This episode is sponsored by
Cottonelle or whatever that
insert name of toilet paper roll. I went through the process, the evaluations, the tests, the appointments. I did like the whole thing. And I called Penn after like the final appointment where like she does like the unveiling.
Was it like an HGTV show?
No, like okay. Move that bus.
Yeah.
And I called Penn and he had me on speakerphone with BC. And I was like, hey, so boys, and both my boys have ADHD. I'm like, so apparently I have ADHD. And they were so sweet. And they yelled like, welcome to the club. And PC was so excited. And he kept on saying, I knew it. I think the reason I'm struggling with this, and even I've continued therapy, and I have not wanted to like announce it or talk about it because there's 3 reasons. And I'm going to talk about it today. 1, I feel like a fraud because I've gone on stages to talk about. We have now our second children's book. So 3 books in which I have told people, hi, I'm Kim. I do not have ADHD. Here is how I attack life with how I partner and parent people with ADHD as somebody who does not have ADHD. Second is I don't want to dilute the diagnosis for people who really, really need resources and accommodations. Because let me tell you, as a parent of a kid with ADHD, it is hard sometimes to get people to pay attention because there's no crutches, there's no, there's no like visible illness. So to get people to believe that this is a brain difference that requires some accommodations is very hard. So just to be like another person with ADHD, I just like don't want to dilute it. And third, I'm in wild stages of perimenopause, and that is so overlapping. We did the work of like going back to my childhood, talking to people from my childhood. Like we did the whole screening because this has to exist over your lifetime.
Right.
And we did in fact see some raging signs in like child, teens, 20s. But also like I can hear people out there like, oh, it's just perimenopause. So like those are the 3 reasons why like I'm like, it's been hard for me to kind of come clean about it.
Number one, you feel like a fraud.
Yeah.
Number two, you are concerned about taking up space from other people who actually you think might need it more, right? And number three, you're in menopause and aren't sure if that's just what it is.
Right.
Okay. May I?
Yes.
These are classic denial. It's not a bad thing, but these are the classic denials that women have. This is why women aren't diagnosed with ADHD as much as men. And you saying this is so bleeping important. I can't even tell you how powerful what you just did is. I'm going to tell you, if you don't mind, some reasons why you're not a fraud. Okay. Just because you helped us write a book about how to support someone with ADHD doesn't mean you didn't do it. You did. There are people out there, quite a few, who are ADHDers who have to support ADHDers. Turns out I've been doing that too.
Yeah, no,
right?
truly.
Like, turns out we've been supporting each other.
Yeah.
It takes a little more work for someone who has ADHD to support someone with ADHD, but it doesn't change the rules, right? You could not be less of a fraud because there are, I believe, millions of grown women right now who are going through the exact same thing you are. And we've seen it, right? We've gone on these book tours and we've seen these women in tears saying, I have been doing this. I've been helping. I've been building the scaffolding, and it turns out I've got it too. And some of those tears are like, it's emotional, right? ADHD, you're emotional, but also this like fear of like helplessness, like, oh my God, what are we going to do now?
Yeah.
Do you think that you can locate any of those emotions inside of you right now?
Absolutely. And I mean, there's also the question of like, well, why is it even important to know? Right? Like what does it matter? I don't need accommodations in school or work. So why is it important to know? I think going back, I think the first time I went to a therapist in college, I was just having a very rough time. And in hindsight, it's because I was so overwhelmed. Everything was I got very good grades. I was very high achieving. Everything took me so freaking long. And I was overwhelmed all the time. And they're like, well, that's just anxiety.
So like, let's go back. I wasn't in the room when you were diagnosed, obviously. What were the childhood markers? What were the signs that this was in fact something that's been going on for longer than just perimenopause? Part
of the diagnostic process is you look back in childhood because this is not something you develop in adulthood. It's not contagious. I think we all as a population have a much shorter attention span because of TikTok, but this is across like.
Right. Otherwise it's just an acquired attention.
Right.
Like. I think there's something called acquired attention deficit or something.
Which I probably
which is like staring at your phone. There's no question that's exacerbating stuff. But
so as a child, it took me reading a page like 4 or 5 times to retain the information. And I just sort of thought that was normal. So I was always feeling a little imposter syndrome. I would get good grades, but it was always very, very hard for me to retain and process the information. So it was like very slow to process things. But again, I was like, oh, that's just the way my brain works. I was a huge slob, like needed quarantine, like my sweet Nana, my grandmother. My mother's whole take on this was like, close your door as long as I don't have to see it. She had a very different way of raising, which was great. But it was like a health hazard. How disgusting. I was a huge slob. I was very disorganized. And I've told you that before. And I don't know if you believed that because the way I kind of have to operate now, everything needs to be very, like for my brain to function. But before even dating you, I was the very type B person if I ever dated anybody. In friendships, I am type B. I don't know where we're going. Just tell me where I'm going, who I can Venmo. Like I am the type B person.
And then you married.
And then I married you.
The most type B person on the planet. And it made it tough for you to
like we can't both be type B.
Exactly.
Right.
And I'm sorry about that. The first thing that you said when you started talking was, I don't know if it makes any sense for me. Like, why do I even need to know this? Just knowing this now helps explain your relationships with people that you love. And I think that's super important. The reason we wrote the book together was because learning and discovering these things about my brain, and now your brain as well, give you agency and give you, it's like the first piece of scaffolding is the knowledge, because it gives you a chance to like not take a look in the mirror and say, what is wrong with you? Oh, okay. This is what it is.
I was able to like offer my 9-year-old self some grace too.
Yeah. How did that feel?
Like, I just need to like get this out of my brain, but it's like, oh, but wasn't every kid overwhelmed? Like, wasn't it so hard for every kid to do this? Like, but looking back, it was like emotionally, like, I think that the emotional side of ADHD, which is like what we're, dealing with, that is where I would flood.
Yeah.
And I would get very, I'd get very upset. I wasn't hyperactive. And I was like a good rule following girl. I can't tell you how many times I went to the bathroom in elementary through high school. I went to a bathroom stall just to cry for like, get a 10-minute cry and then like get my act together.
That's it.
But again, I'm like, doesn't everybody do that?
This is like a fun tightrope for me. My wife, who I adore, it like when I talk about her, and things that are going on in her life and body, I don't want to give you added anxiety, but I'm going to give an example of something that's happened recently. You've had emotionally flooded moments around me, not directed at me, but it's very overwhelming. And I've always put that in the bucket of, oh, my wife has anxiety. Right. And so we're now at a point where anxiety is a component of ADHD. Maybe it's more of that executive functioning, emotional flooding that comes with ADHD than actual classic anxiety.
So what I have learned, and part of the screening actually, was asking questions about like, am I afraid something bad will happen? Am I afraid, because I was diagnosed with OCD, like if I don't do this, something bad will happen. I'm like, no. And, and she would dig, she gave the test to me. I didn't fill it out. Like she actually like asked me the prompts and like really dug in there. So if I'm nervous, for example, I went to go visit Lola this weekend and I called you. I'm like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. So I wasn't afraid the plane was going to fall out of the sky. I wasn't afraid of missing something. I was just constantly afraid I was forgetting something. Like something didn't feel right. And so that is not, I think we're splitting hairs a little bit, but that's not like anxiety from what I understand, or OCD. Yeah. That's fear-based about like something that may happen or will happen if I don't do something. Yeah. Whereas ADHD is overcompensating. I have programmed myself. I've developed an entire personality about being the responsible one. And so because I am like in my brain, don't forget, that has caused these emotions and this anxiousness.
All right. Perfect. So I would love to kind of segue into number 2.
Okay.
Your thought number 2. First of all, I just want to say again, not only you're not a fraud, you're an inspiration. You were incredibly brave. I could tell that was hard for you to get out, and you got it out, and it's going to mean a lot to a lot of people, to the 10s of 20s of people who are listening to this, or it may even be.
Stop. We work hard.
Yeah, to a lot of people. Number 2 was your concern that you were pulling resources, and maybe do I even need to know this? And is this really like, are we overdiagnosing ourselves with ADHD as a society? Right. That's a totally valid question to ask. Let me start by saying this: people can be anxious and not have anxiety. People can drink wine and not be alcoholics. Right? People can be forgetful and not have ADHD. That's why the line is drawn clinically. And this is where doctors are very important when it comes to diagnosing this, and we can't do it, right? It's when it becomes something that affects you adversely to the point that you are having trouble functioning in the world around you, right? And in some cases, affecting others as well. So I think that a lot of the naysayers are like, well, I forgot that and I don't have ADHD. No.
Yeah.
No, it's when you have it, it is a actual lack of dopamine in your prefrontal cortex that keeps you from being able to executive function normally. It's not a deficit of attention. Bad name.
And that's like,
you get that now,
well,
right?
Listen, as long as we're telling the truth here, we're doing years of research for ADHD is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And everything I was reading, I'm like, but I have that. Like, I'm like, that's,
which made you feel like, okay.
So I was even, because Penn would be writing about something about how like the brain bounces around and like, you know, cause I notice everything, I feel everything, which is like why the clutter is like so bothering. Cause like I noticed the tag on the back of my shirt. Like I'm highly sensitive to sound. Like I notice freaking everything. And that was like, you know, they were talking about an ADHD is awesome. I'm like, but I feel that. So I don't know if that's a real ADHD symptom. Like the alarm bells were going off, but because I'm a woman and I was told like, oh, you're just a little anxious. Like it just never even came up that could be ADHD.
Yeah. And while we're being honest, you are a type 1 Enneagram, which is, I love about you. Which the funnest thing about people who are type 1 Enneagrams is they don't believe that they're type 1 Enneagrams because someone has told them that. That I think that the term that I saw was perfectionist. I don't love that word, but you are a very, very hard worker, and you like things to be ideal, and sometimes that makes it difficult for you to start things, and sometimes that overwhelms you. And so you don't like to be told that you have something. Kim, in 2019, I think you took some sort of assessment online. You didn't tell me about it. And I found it in a drawer about 2 months later. And it said Kim D. Holderness. And underneath it was like, it was like a picture of a brain and said, and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It wasn't something that I, like, if you put it in a drawer, I wasn't going to tell anybody else this. But I came to you and I said, Kim, because, you know, like, I've got it. Like it's showing here this diagnosis, and your response was, it was just an online thing. Like they're wrong. I was having a rough week when I took it. I don't have this. And so I put it back in the drawer, but I had it in my mind for quite some time.
We were writing ADHD was awesome.
Yes.
And everything was checking a box for me, but I was being told it's anxiety, it's your OCD, it's perimenopause. I was like, well, because there's a million resources. First of all, there's no one way to get diagnosed. There's not like a blood test you take, right? So I went online and I did there's 3 different things you can do kind of like online, these tests. And then you have like a virtual appointment with somebody. I paid like $49.99 and they emailed me something. And I felt like, I'm like, that was too easy to get. That's not real. And so I didn't tell you. Which listen, like you have to log into my email. We don't share, like there's nothing we hide.
It was weird finding it in a drawer. Like I was
is like the length, that's like the most betrayal, like betrayed you've ever felt.
Yeah, it was wild. Like I was looking for a checkbook, which is also wild. Like who writes checks and when have I ever written one? And it was funny that it was actually next to a checkbook. I was stunned, and the thing that you said to me that I'll never forget was, we can't both have this.
Yeah.
And I remember saying back, yes, we can. And the book was an issue to you. Mm-hmm. It's still not an issue to me.
For the record, not that I felt like I needed to monetize not having ADHD.
Right. You felt like every other woman that everyone can't have ADHD in here or else the world's going to explode.
Right.
Fair. But it hasn't. I'm not saying that like, I wish you'd told me then. I'm glad that you're saying it now, and I'm glad that you've come to grips with it. But like, that's where you celebrate. You say, you've got a cool brain. Look, like good things can happen. Look at us. We've got 2 microphones. And like, now let's get to work. And like, let's understand why things are sometimes tough, and let's build that scaffolding.
So the perfectionism part, that really started in my like 20s, 30s. And then like, obviously now I had no idea that was like a coping strategy of somebody with ADHD. And not everybody would think that, because there's this like, you know, like, oh, ADHDers, they're just like, you know, starting and quitting and but what happens with me is I want to do a thing, but I'm not going to start the thing unless I can do it really well. Like I'm not even going to try the thing until I can do it well, because I can't regulate my emotions if I fail.
Yeah.
And if I'm bad at something, it causes me physical pain.
Rejection, sensitive dysphoria.
So I will say that, but when I do lean in, I get almost like if I'm going to try something, and I have like some examples here, I get near obsessive with it, hence the OCD, right? So I would profoundly over prepare for something. So that is why that's why it was easy to diagnose with ADHD. For example, The Amazing Race called.
Oh my gosh, we were talking about this morning.
Yeah, so The Amazing Race called, not recently, but like originally they called and I'm like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. The reason I didn't want to do it, which is fair, by the way, is that I would be on television being bad at something.
You mean like looking at a clue and not realizing that it's a clue and staring at it for 45 minutes? Because that's what I did.
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
By the way, we each took turns being like doing stupid things.
No one pitches a no-hitter on The Amazing Race.
Right.
Yeah.
And when there was a moment, and it was the leg, we were in Switzerland and I had just done that like awful bungee jump. But then my brain, I'm sorry, I think I had a concussion. I was supposed to navigate us. That was my job. And I was pretty good at it to the next place. I got us so turned around and so lost. Like I was flooding. You had to get out. You had to get the directions. You had to write it down. Like I was flooding. We ended up finishing third, which is like, go us.
You were not happy.
I was paid, and you could only go back to the hotel room. And I remember so distinctly because we were in Switzerland, but we were near Italy. So we got this like amazing pizza that they brought to us.
Lugano.
And like, I was pacing back and forth. And I was so embarrassed that I screwed up so badly. Like just me. If you and I had screwed up together, I think I would have been fine, but it was just me. And so that is why I was like, oh, okay. Is this like ADHD? So here's the example. So ADHD perfectionism, if I can't do it perfectly, I won't start.
Yeah.
And it's often tied to shame or fear of messing up. OCD perfectionism, if it isn't done exactly right, something bad will happen. So it's often tied to like repetitive things or catastrophic fear. So ADHD, emotional regulation, there's like big reactions, rejection sensitivity, and flooding that passes. OCD, that emotional experience, the difference is an anxiety spike from intrusive thought, temporary relief after a compulsion, and then the anxiety returns. So it's kind of like a circle. So I don't have any compulsive behaviors. Like I don't have to like knock 7 times before I leave a room. Right. I just sort of like,
the intrusive thought part.
I do have those, but that's where I think that it's probably tough to unravel, and maybe not even necessarily, but like the perfectionism part really hit.
So people have, let's go back to what I said before. People have anxiety without having anxiety disorder. People have obsessive compulsions without having obsessive compulsive disorder.
Right.
So this is all very fascinating. You could just have one thing that's causing some of these other like behaviors that are part of that one thing, which would be nice. It'd be nice and clean.
I think because you have ADHD very proudly, which is great, and it's been great, that they assume I'm very type A, as I'm not.
Yeah.
So I have some examples of like some red flags that like we should have known.
Oh, I have some too.
I booked plane tickets for our entire family to go to the wrong city. We showed up and we were supposed to go to Florida, and I booked 4 tickets to New York. Filling out paperwork causes me actual pain, even signing a contract. So Penn does it all for me.
I've done that, yeah.
He does it all for me.
So we have coped in a lot of ways with this. I also do most of the plane tickets now.
Yes. I over prepare for things to avoid mistakes. Mm-hmm. So like I'm an over preparer, and that's where I think some of the anxiety comes. I experience physical pain, even when given neutral feedback from like simply not being good at something. There are so many things that I don't start simply because I just don't think they're going to be, I just don't start them. Like I don't.
And it's not just that Enneagram 1 part. It's like this perfect cocktail of that mixed with like the actual RSD that people frequently have when they've got ADHD.
So research on girls and women with ADHD is very slowly catching up. We are learning so much more. I think one of the biggest symptoms that we're learning more about is just the emotions of ADHD and how that's kind of a symptom of ADHD. I think there are a lot of women out there that have just been, but they've been given an anxiety diagnosis and possibly medication for anxiety, and they don't feel like they're feeling any better. And I think that might be because they have ADHD and maybe they need a different medication or different processes. Finally, just to get to the perimenopause part, if you look at the symptoms of perimenopause, it's like the Venn diagram is a circle, right?
It's all based on executive functioning and regulating your emotions.
Right. And I think for women with ADHD going through perimenopause, it's gas on the fire. I've never been through perimenopause before, so I don't know. But maybe it's why my perimenopause journey has felt so extreme is because I was coping. I was masking. I was making it all work. I was, had 20 different lists in 20 different places. And then the hormones come, or actually the hormones leave. And I'm just very exposed.
So are you still feeling like this could just be perimenopause?
No, because if I look back my life, my early 20s, so a lot of disorganization and overwhelm was my school and college years. I think my 20s, when I didn't have school to tell me exactly what to do, I felt the perfectionism part really kick in. That really did kind of swallow my life.
Just some further proof that it's not just perimenopause, not just your childhood, but when do you think it those symptoms really started kicking in? Give me a year, when you started perimenopause. When did it start? When did it become something that was becoming a real distraction?
Probably 3 years ago.
3 years ago? When did you hide that thing in the drawer? But
before then,
before then was the thing in the drawer. Listen, we've gone through those 3 things. I need to say this again. You're incredibly brave. You're incredibly high functioning for someone who has this. So that's a gift, right? You've gotten this far and you're extraordinarily successful. You have a happy family. You're a great mom. You're doing all of these things with ADHD, not in spite of ADHD, right? There are some things that come with that brain. And I've got to remind you and everyone who has it, those things make you the person that you are. And it's a great person.
Thank you.
I have my own list of reasons I should have known you had ADHD, and they're mostly positive. Okay? Are you ready?
Yes.
You have this adorable hobby of trying new hobbies.
But doesn't everybody do that?
You love things that are new and exciting.
I do.
You have this new chessboard it's become the center of our evening.
I know. I got it. I want to learn how to play chess.
Yeah. And that was after you had another hobby. And it's you're exposing yourself to all of these new fun neural pathways. And that's people with ADHD, baby.
So I will say this. And so it makes me sympathetic to my son who tries a lot of things, but he's a teenager, right? He tries a lot of things and stop. What happens is this. I'm new at something like mahjong, which I'll still play mahjong or chess. And I'm new with everybody. And then everybody else starts to advance and maybe I'm not advancing fast enough. I'm not winning. So I stop because I'm not good enough.
Okay. So you're still we're going to reframe this. You're still dwelling on the bad stuff. It's not a bad thing to try a bunch of new stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
So that part is, you're going to be proficient at a lot of stuff. You don't have to be an expert at anything.
But I'll know how the pawn moves.
Exactly. You taught me something called a
en passant.
En passant. Okay, that was number 1. Number 2, you've got hyperfocus. Yeah. And I should have known that when 2 days ago you took a Sudafed and basically wrote an entire book. You accidentally gave yourself something adjacent to ADHD medication.
I was maybe I do have ADHD.
We have this thing where it's document shared with you, and it just means that someone is working on something. And my phone was bleep, bleep.
I was writing a lot on Monday.
You wrote You wrote War and Peace on Sudafed.
I was prolific on Monday. Yeah.
Sudafed's like basically like meth, right? Like it's like
I don't
that's
know.
what
It's
use.
regulated. Yeah.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
You've got hyperfocus, and we should have known. Okay, so number 3, you don't give yourself enough credit for this, but you are a very forgiving person. You're able to experience intense hurt when it comes to someone in a relationship, including me, including members of your family, and then you are able to move on. And that is a distinct trait of people with ADHD. You're forgiving.
I am.
You're more forgiving than you give yourself credit for.
I am forgiving, especially for like, I am forgiving.
Yeah.
I am.
You are.
I am.
And that's like, if you look it up, because of our emotional flooding and then ability to kind of flip that on its head once something else shiny and new comes by, it kind of makes us forgiving people.
Yeah.
Number 4, the way that you get stimulus and the way that you find ideas is the textbook example of how ADHD does it. And it's why we're so creative. You're very creative because you do the same thing, right? Like when you have ideas, they come at you from all directions at all times. I've seen it in action. And I don't know if you get enough credit on this channel for the ideas that you come up with, but you are exceptional at it. And that is also a trait that comes with all those bad things we were just talking about with ADHD. That's one of the really good things. Mm-hmm. And that's why we have 2 microphones. That's why we can afford 2 microphones and a mixer and 3 cameras.
But only,
because of all of
but
your
no
work.
iPads.
No iPads. So that's number 4. You've got that trait, and it is a wonderful trait, and it's why you're so good at your job. And number 5, the reason we should have known you have ADHD, drum roll. This is like David Letterman. He always does a drum roll for his last one. Everyone else in the house has it, and you didn't wear a mask, so you were bound to catch it eventually.
It's not contagious.
That was a joke.
Oh. Well, but again, mine looks different than yours.
Yeah.
And mine look different. My ADHD looks different from my son. Actually, he and I are more like in like the emotional side. And that was another indicator when I was filling out all the paperwork for him 4 years ago. I was like, dang, this looks an awful lot like what my brain is like.
Yeah. I know that you can't get it from breathing. It was a fun joke we were going for.
Sorry, it was very fun. Okay, another thing that I have always struggled with is like, there's this thing called time blindness with ADHD, and like famously, like ADHD, I'm so ADHD, I'm late. I am never late. I'm obsessively early because I have this whole time distortion thing. I don't know, and I cannot program in my head how long things take. I've been drying my hair my entire life. I don't know how long it takes to dry my hair. It's like not long. And so I think I timed it one time for a video, and I forget even what that is. Like, that's the reason I always ask what time we should leave for the airport, because I literally don't know. I don't know how long things take.
Yeah. I cannot wait for the next episode of Laugh Lines, because we're going to bring in Dr. Tamara Rogier, and she is going to talk about time distortion. She's going to talk about all of the emotions that come with it. And I feel like she's going to give you a lot of compliments, because you have, by yourself, with help from no one, because no one knew you had it, the scaffolding that you've built.
But can I say yourself. Though, it's exhausting.
Yes, you can say that.
I know I am more introverted. Like I took the Myers-Briggs test, and I'm like right on the line between introvert and extrovert. And I can be very extroverted, but I've always been like, the reason I'm so exhausted at the end of the day is I'm an introvert and there's people all around and whatever. There may be like, it may be because I am having to work so hard to get crap done that I'm just like so drained. Like I'm so tired. And that's not just perimenopause, What
if this new realization, what if this energizes you? What if the knowledge of what's going on brings you like a new sense of peace, a new sense of understanding that that exhaustion is at least abated a little bit. Like this is just a theory.
I don't know what this means for me, quite honestly. Like I've still been doing the work with my therapist, but I don't know what to do with all this, to be quite honest.
Well, I'm glad we've got someone, not me, coming to talk to you. You guys know this, a husband can only say so much to a wife and vice versa that that they're going to fully take. And sometimes it's easier to get it from another person.
No, I have to say you've been great. And you are, if somebody is going to be diagnosed with ADHD, you need to have them call Penn Holderness because he is going to hype you up. He's going to give you all of the good, beautiful things that happen with your brain. Like calling, I have to say, like it still is like one of my favorite like moments as a mom, like PC, like hyping me up.
Well, we did it to him.
Yeah. And so it was, I'm in the perfect family for this. And it's not shame I'm feeling. It's like, I don't know. I still can't. I'm having trouble putting the language of like what it is I'm feeling.
That's why we're bringing in a really smart doctor. She's like a shaman. Have you ever heard her talk? So like her books are great, but like when she talks, it's like Lisa D'Amour level, like, oh, you're good at this.
And that's our next episode. But first, we actually love getting your messages. And I would say, and Anne-Marie pointed this out, we get about 2 a day from middle-aged women who've just been diagnosed with ADHD because of ADHD is awesome. And so we have some messages here. We're going to read. We're going to play some. We're going to head to the laugh line.
Laugh line. It's the part of the show where everyone will find. Laugh line. You call us up and you tell us what's on your mind.
Hi, I'm Angela. I am from Massachusetts. I'm 54 years old and I was first diagnosed with ADHD when I was 45. And that actually came from my otologist who said I wasn't going deaf, I just wasn't listening, and maybe I should get my official diagnosis of ADHD. And right now my brain sounds like a pachinko machine, so I'm not even sure where I was going with this, but I have so many questions. Like, Penn, if you were hiring somebody and you didn't have ADHD, would you want them to tell you they have ADHD? Because, like, I'm in the middle of a job search right now, and it's kind of an issue.
Oh, wow. What a good question.
So I've been asked this question by a lot of people, and the answer is yes. I would want to know, and if I would want that person to tell the person that they're applying for that they had ADHD, but they would need to tell them that with a level of command and understanding of what it is, like
why that makes you, why that you bring strength to the role.
Yes, and that's one of the toughest things that people they can't come to grips with, like saying that this other type of brain type and perspective is an asset. In our book, and in both of our books, our ADHD is Awesome and also our children's book, we bring up a lot of entrepreneurs who have credited their ADHD for the generation of ideas that no one else had. Mm-hmm. By the way, it's an awesome question. And I hope she does tell them, but I hope when she tells them, she explains that it doesn't mean that you're going to forget all of what's going on and no, it means I work on those things, but also what you get are these like force multipliers in other parts of my job.
I remember at one of our book signings, we had a pharmacist and she admitted, she's like, I have ADHD, but I don't tell anybody because who wants a pharmacist with ADHD? But the truth is she was so fascinated by her job and loved her job so much. She was hyper-focused on, and like
this is her thing that she loves.
That, like her interest-based nervous system, like she was so hyper-focused. Honestly, I was like, no, that's a strength to be able to hyper-focus on what's happening. Here's an email from Amy. I was diagnosed with ADHD at 47. I never considered that I might have ADHD. Never. In fact, a lot of my public identity was around how organized and reliable I was. One morning I was scrolling over coffee when I saw a post on Twitter that said something like, this is your friendly reminder that ADHD can also look like 1, being 40 minutes early for everything.
Yeah.
2, feeling like you can't do anything all morning because you have an appointment at 2. Oh my God, that's so me. And 3, perfectionism. 4, extreme anxiety. And 5, snapping at people. Yeah, all of those. Like, but that's when I go like, oh, but isn't that everybody? Apparently. I say that all the time to my therapist and she's like, literally no. She's like, I do this all day long and no, not everybody has this.
Guys, I felt like it was really controversial when I came to y'all and said, like, I love you. I read ADHD is Awesome multiple times and I don't relate.
What?
And that's okay. and I feel like you guys are like, you're different.
You are different.
Yeah, just to clarify, Sam, we have a very tight-knit group of like 4 principals in this company. and Sam is the only one without ADHD now. Or I guess always has been, but now we're realizing that she's the only one without it.
I know. And we're like,
and we're trying to
we
recruit
love
her.
you no matter what, Sam. She had to come out as not ADHD.
Yeah.
So to wrap up her email, there were so many times I felt broken and deficient, and I was like an imposter. The imposter syndrome. Desperately trying to maintain my identity as a smart, talented person. Now I could see that it was just my ADHD. It was a huge paradigm shift for me in terms of identity to even consider an ADHD diagnosis, but it was life-changing. I think that's the word I was looking for in my school, like getting through school, because I was high achieving, but I felt like an imposter because I didn't it was so hard for me. I just felt like an imposter.
I've heard you use that term multiple times.
Yeah. Like I had good grades, but I never felt smart.
Yeah.
Okay. We have another voicemail from
Mindy from New Mexico.
Hey guys, this is Mindy from New Mexico. Kim, I have to tell you that about 2 years ago, a friend of mine said to me, "Hey, are you sure you don't have ADHD?" And I thought, there's no way I have ADHD. I've been diagnosed with anxiety. I've had anxiety my whole life, and I just didn't know what to do with that comment. And then I listened to your book. So many of the coping strategies in your book are how I survived college. And now that I'm home and I'm with my kids and my life isn't structured for me, I started to think, maybe I do. And I started working with a new therapist several months ago, and she said to me, "Are you sure that you have anxiety and you don't just have untreated ADHD?" So it does happen.
So Mindy diagnosed you. It is. So this is another one of those, like, you're sitting here realizing, oh no, I'm not the only one.
Well,
Even close.
We get hundreds of messages like this. And I have to tell you, if we went back through the comments on podcasts and whatever, there's always one that says, "Kim, are you sure you don't have ADHD?" And I'm like, no.
The only person who really needed a lot of convincing that you had ADHD was you. A lot of times that happens. People around you, I mean, especially for kids, but for adults, anyone, people around you are like, oh, this is probably something that you have. And the hardest barrier is the person themselves.
I really appreciate this community. I really appreciate my husband and the people I work with. I'm very lucky. And I just, if you're listening to this and if you've been through this and you have better words for it, normally words are how I process things, but this happened in October. So this was October, November. So this was a while ago. But I try to journal. I can't even process it. I just it's just the strangest feeling. So, somebody might be able to help me with that.
Yeah. We can see if they can help you with that. I'm trying to help you with it.
But there was another one. Hold on. From Mary. I was always the one without ADHD who made everything function in our family. Then good old Perry came along, and then all the masks and systems that I put in place stopped working. Mm-hmm. The realization that I chew at ADHD was like a body blow. And I'm coming to terms with it thanks to amazing communities like the one you have here. Don't make me cry. I don't know. I just have been on so many stages and tried to help so many women and try to be so sympathetic to them. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like I was coming at it at a place of I don't have this. Let me help you who has this. And it feels like.
Do you think it changes the message at all?
No, it doesn't. And you're totally right. Nothing in the book becomes inaccurate at all.
More accurate.
I just feel like there needs to be a different version now because, they're doing so much more research on girls and women. But I just think that if we were to write the book today, the book would look a lot different.
Yeah.
And still a good book.
Still a good book.
Yeah, but it would look a lot different.
Well, we're doing all kinds of other versions and types of this book. And I've always said our first book, while really important to me to help me feel better and to help you feel better and for us to discover more about it, because it was largely about my diagnosis, we didn't talk enough about what it's like for women. It was 2 paragraphs. They were 2 very important paragraphs, but we could certainly talk a lot more about it.
We talked very generically in the book in general. And
yeah.
And we said, there's not enough research on girls, women, and people of color. Like,
Not to say that like the rest of the book can absolutely apply to women.
100%.
It was largely in the diagnosis side of it. Right. Like there's just like that type of masking, and just the fact that women are flat out tougher than men.
Yeah.
And can internalize their difficulties better than we can, leads to a 3-to-1 diagnosis men over women, while genetically
equal chances,
equal predisposition for it.
Thank you. And thank you for listening and watching. And want to read us some credits?
Yeah.
In a very gentle, soothing tone.
Laugh Lines is written and produced by Kim Holderness, Penn Holderness, and Anne-Marie Tapke, with original music by Penn Holderness. It is filmed, edited, and live produced by Sam Allen and hosted by Acast. As always, we love to hear from you. Please write to us, podcast@theholdernessfamily.com. Leave a voicemail at 323-364-3929. Did you just fart?
No, this is the book.
Okay,
the
sorry.
thing. I'm fidgeting.
Okay, and we will talk to you soon on Laugh Lines.
Okay, love you. Bye.